I started reading Chronicles of Narnia when it was in my house because my dad had put it there. And I still have the same, like those copies of the books here in my house now. And they are, I pulled them out to look through them here before the podcast. And I realized they're basically just loose leaf pieces of paper being held together by very, very old glue at this point. So but yeah, I mean, those are books that like I just fell in love with, like, especially the first 4 up to the silver chair. And I know that's a little blasphemy for Rachel, because I think your favorite is the 5th one, right?
The horse and his boy, which for me was the 3rd one.
That is the wrong order, and you are wrong to think it is the right order.
Okay, I had them in a box set, and they gave me an order, and dug me. And then I got bored with one, skipped one, went to 2, read 3, 4, 5, and then started reading the silver chair, and realized my favorite characters weren't in it.
That is the wrong order, and the collected publisher that put them in that order is wrong to have put them in that order.
Yell at the movie people.
Right now they have numbers. They're numbered. The number 1 is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But you're saying, Rachel, that your number 1 is The Magician's Nephew?
Yes, I started reading it, was very confused, and put it down.
Good, because you should read next to last. That is the 6th book, and anyone who says otherwise is a liar or a fraud.
So Peter feels pretty strongly.
You should talk about the strange ordering of the series.
Peter,
well, I didn't read the Magician's Nephew and The Last Battle. I think until I was in high school, because I just stopped at 4. I don't know why. And then I reread them in high school, and I got to the end, and I realized that, like, the answer to like every question about the weird place that is Narnia are answered in those last 2 books. Because they're like an origin story. So they're like chronologically, that's the order that Rachel read them in, the chronological order as they exist.
The internal chronological order, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, of Narnia itself, not actually the outside land, though.
Right. The Magician's, well, no, it is still also that. Yes.
Okay.
Because The Magician's Nephew is about the old man who, as a boy, created the wardrobe, which is then featured in The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe in the first novel. And it's like his house that the orphans, are they orphans or just, they're war orphans, right?
No, their dad went off to war, I think.
They were just sent by their mother. Right?
Yeah.
They were sent away for safety to avoid the air raids.
A common thing during the Blitz, right?
Yeah.
And so like that guy is a magician and or the magician's nephew of the book 6. So yeah, I mean, like there was a whole backstory and a weird ending that I just had never gotten to, because I got to the end of the Silver Chair often, which was my favorite, and I was just like, okay, I'm done reading this now, I guess.
I got really weirdly attached to the 4 siblings, and they stopped being a thing. And I was very, very sad. And then I just stopped because I couldn't bear it.
That makes sense. Yeah, they did kind of, wasn't it? They didn't treat Susan well.
No, Susan was my favorite. I think all her siblings dies because she doesn't go back to Narnia in the last battle, I think. And then they all die in a train crash. And she's just like, I guess I'm sad now.
Is that how it ends?
At least for Susan, that's how it ends. I don't know what actually happens in Narnia.
She doesn't die.
No, the others die, and then she was, because she didn't go with them, because she's like, oh, what imaginations you still have, because she didn't believe in Narnia anymore.
Right.
She got cast as the Frumpy sister.
Well, she was always kind of that.
She became too grown up.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really liked her, and she was very in the first few books, and then they just kind of threw her aside, and I was very sad. She serves a purpose, but
yeah, I mean, in the end, I loved them as a kid. They're remarkably well realized, but I also, as I grow up and I begin to learn or recognize what they are all intended to mean, that they're all a religious allegory. It's for an adult, for me at least, it's a real turnoff.
Well, yeah, it's a weird one to talk about because C.S. Lewis was always a little cagey on, other than the first one, right? The first one's like pretty blatantly an allegory, but the rest of them are They have religious themes in them, but I don't think you could ever really like line them up with, you know, a biblical story or anything like that.
I mean,
and really like after the Voyage of the Dawn Treader and the Silver Chair, they're very like Gulliver's Travels kind of things where they're going to all these weird lands, and it's very Gulliver's Travels. Like
I feel
tiny people and all kinds of stuff.
I feel like the last battle actually lines up with Revelations pretty well.
I think so too. It's been a while since I read it, but I agree. Go on.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but I just know like I looked at the wiki and that's what it said. I looked at the wiki to just figure out what happened, and I was as like an adult to see if I wanted to reread them, and I saw what happened to Susan, and I started and turned away.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about these books is that they are beloved by some people, and other people find that they're. I mean, to be honest, like for me, I have a similar experience to Peter's, except it was like the reverse. Like to me, I read these books, and then Organized Religions was like, oh, these books made me realize you could kind of just make that stuff up. And so
that's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a very religious household, so they gave me these books as like, oh, here's some fun reading that we bought at the Christian bookstore, because here's like some sort of pop culture fiction that's like on the approved reading list, so to speak.
Right. So have that, and it just showed you, well, this is all kind of BS anyway. I'll just leave.
Right.
That's funny. I grew up in a very non-religious household, and they were given to me as just fantasy books. I presume, I mean, neither of my parents are dumb. I presume they had some inkling about the intended meaning. But as far as I know, they never told me any of that. And so I just read them and took them entirely straight.
I had a similar experience with his Dark Materials series, which is very, but my parents are like mostly religious, but they were like, we know what this means, but we don't care. Child, you can read this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're very open to like letting me read like even opposite positions.
That's must be very refreshing. I know C.S. Lewis was, often quoted as saying that, like, to him, he was writing, second world fantasy where, Jesus just went to another world and did his Jesus thing. Just he was a big lion. Like he was often very clear that, like, nope, it's the same Jesus, just in a different world.
Mm-hmm.
That was very like. That was one of those things where I'm like, let me try to figure that out as a 10-year-old. And all the adults are like, no, don't try to figure that out. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't want to attack C.S. Lewis, but I do want to say it takes a special kind of person to think that they could write Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, I would not have the balls to be like, yeah, I could write Jesus as a character.
Yeah. I don't know. I just liked. I wasn't that into the series as a child. Also, I was kind of stupid as a child and didn't see that until much later.
No, I didn't until much later either. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and because I didn't really like look into themes of books, I was like, this is a fun story. I just like the story.
I mean, they're written that way to make it that way, right? So that you don't think about it. Like they're not the later ones, especially, are like not directly obvious. And even the first one, like one of the reasons why The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe is so affecting is like Aslan is not crucified in the sort of like picturesque way, I'll say, that like most Easter sermons would probably have you picture the crucifixion, or if you were going to watch a movie about it or something. Like he straight up gets stabbed to death in front of two small children on a big stone table, and then he's dead. And there's like several chapters where he's dead and everyone's making plans because, hey, God is dead and we got to move on. We got to keep going. Like it was very like, I mean, I don't know what C.S. Lewis intended, but I don't think it is how I interpreted those books to start with, which is like, this C.S. Lewis guy is a fan of lion murder and he just put it in his book.
a weird thing when I was reading that series. I think I like the Horse and His Boy so much is I liked seeing the adult children later in the series, how like they were kings and queens in the series. I always wanted their parents to appear to be like, there's your children, look at them, they're kings and queens and they're adults of this magical land. I don't know. I always
that's like a theme also of C.S. Lewis's in the Chronicles of Narnia is like Narnia is a place you can go and when you come back, like the world's better because you left and had an adventure.
Wait, is it? Did the world improve after the Pensies' adventure?
Yes.
Did it?
I thought they came back and like no time had passed.
Well, but like their parents come back, I think, by the end, and in Prince Caspian and in Voyage of the Dawn Treader and in Silver Chair, the stories are all predicated by something bad happening to the children. They leave, they come back, and then like Prince Caspian comes back with them and they chase kids around with a sword until everything's better. I think in the Silver Chair, they do this something very similar, except their headmaster of their school sees Aslan and goes insane and then is promoted into Parliament, I think is what happens. So
Now I want Aslan to be actually like a representative of the great old ones, Lovecraftian entity from the realm beyond time and space.
I'd read that too.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I just got some ideas. Hold on. I'm going to go write a book.